Alrighty then, welcome back, folks. Lots of crazy stuff going on. Want to reiterate that today the market is up, which is a good sign. It seems like it's found a bid out there. If you were watching a little earlier, the president's coronavirus task force came out and announced some monster stimulus measures, which I think are going to keep the global markets a little more secure, and also going to put some money in the pockets of small business owners with a payroll tax reduction. And also many Americans who make less than a certain amount of money, which will be defined today, are going to get checks in the mail for $1,000. And they've pushed out the 4/15 deadline. April 15th, if you do a refund file, you'll get your money. If you're due to pay, file, and you have 90 days holiday right now to get that money together and use it, and the government will give us more information on when they'll come looking for that money. But in the meantime, no penalties, no interest. You have 90 days amnesty on filing on April 15th, which is a good sign. That puts money in small businesses' accounts. It puts money in people's accounts, and that's a really good thing. And the markets are absorbing that very nicely today. Okay. Good friend of mine who's on the show often, Tim Collins, joins me now. He's general manager of Bobby Van's, a national chain of steakhouses, one here in particular in New York. And Tim, we usually haggle it out about, Democrats and Republicans and all that stuff. But I mean, you're personally and directly affected by this because the restaurants across the country are shut down and your establishment, Bobby Van's, is not open.
It's really quite surreal, actually, the world we're living in. That I've been in this business since I was 14 years old. I've never not worked. And now all of a sudden, I'm finding myself in a new business, which is unspooling a current business that I'm going to have to re-gear and retool right away when this word comes that this is over. In the meantime, the entire, everyone is affected in a very adverse way. And those that didn't plan on something or plan for a rainy day are really going to be hurting. I have to agree with something that Daniel said earlier in that we're going to see out about a month to 6 weeks what real ripple effects this is going to have on the economy, because I got to be honest, there's going to be a lot of people that aren't going to have food to eat. It's going to be very serious.
So a little earlier, the president got out there with the whole team. Mike Pence got up there, but I thought the best part that I heard was when Steve Mnuchin came up to the podium. He talked about up to $1 trillion special purpose vehicle where the Treasury will be providing the Fed with liquidity for commercial paper. That helps the logistics really change and the supply chains. That's something big.
I thought that his cooperation last week with Nancy Pelosi was actually something he deserves a lot of credit for. I mean, you haven't heard me on this network saying a lot of positive things, but I have to give credit where credit's due. The messaging coming out of the White House is greatly improved. It's been a kind of, what we need now is a stable hand at the tiller, and I've seen a real...
I watch the morning shows on the left to get my juices flowing and stuff. And I was almost shocked this morning when I opened my eyes and I heard one of the other competing networks saying that the president looked somber and serious and on top of things. And when you see that on the left, it's like a shocking revelation because they barely do it. I'm glad to see you doing it, saying something good, because you know what? If there's ever a time where you got to put your political differences aside, it's now.
Yeah,
people got to come
that,
together, and name calling and time for tweeting and all this other stuff is gone. And I think the president is sitting up there with great people like Anthony Fauci. I mean, this guy makes you feel comfortable when you hear him talk.
Yeah, you certainly would rather hear Anthony Fauci's opinion for something than someone, a layperson like the president, who doesn't necessarily have any known expertise in.
I think Anthony Fauci has been the president's best secret weapon right here.
I agree.
I think he's well respected across all networks, all walks of life. He's been at what he's doing for 50 years. And I think, that's like Trump's diamond in the rough right there, if you ask me. So let me ask you this. And these announcements today, cutting of payroll taxes, pushing out the tax deadline for IRS payments, $1 trillion commercial facility. You think that's enough to help Main Street stay afloat through this?
Well, I certainly think it's a good start. I mean, obviously the payroll, the dwindled payroll tax isn't really going to help anyone who's currently unemployed.
Right.
We saw yesterday there's so many unemployed people in New York State that the website crashed. I mean, that's a bad sign. They've subsequently increased the capacity of the website, and it crashed again today.
Right.
So that's a that's a pretty somber thing to have happen.
When I look at, immediate, the Treasury Secretary doesn't need congressional approval to stop collecting taxes. So, but it is good. Steve Mnuchin said, hey, I got to get over to Congress now. I got to have more conversation. So it is good. Maybe in the long run, this whole thing kind of puts us in a position where the American people can feel strong that Democrats and Republicans can work together when it comes to a grave circumstance.
Yeah, I think you're going to see kind of a pause in the rough and tumble between the parties for the next month or so anyway. I mean, we're going to resume the election at some point, and I think at that point it will kind of resume back to it'll reset back to its normal. But for now, this is a real serious thing we're looking at here, and we're unfortunately maybe a week or 10 days behind France, Italy, and Spain.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems inevitable.
That's how it looks. Well, my friend, Liquid Lunch is always here for you while you guys are getting ready to retool and respool. And are you guys doing takeout now? Is that still allowed or no?
If takeout and delivery is still allowed, we are going to commence with that tomorrow. So we are doing that. And we're going to see where it goes. I mean, there are some people still, essential people, traders and things like that are showing up. But it is extremely reduced capacity down here in New York City. People are really heeding the warnings and they're staying home.
Got it. Well, that's a great sign. To me, it says that the president's pushing the right message if people are listening, and we're all taking it serious.
Yeah.
Thank you, my friend. Appreciate you coming down and spending St. Patty's Day with me. I thought maybe I'd be over by your place a little later on, but who knew you'd be with me? Liquid Lunch is going to take a quick break right here. We're going to come back in just a couple of minutes with the New York editor for Spectator USA, Melissa Chen, to talk about everything Corona right after this.